The morning sky over the human colony of Greenfield was calm. The twin suns of the planet Novara rose slowly over silver clouds. Small homes stood between wide green fields and people started their daily work. Birds with crystal feathers flew over the roofs singing in gentle tones. It looked like a normal day for everyone. But this morning was not normal for Mark's family. A small delivery shuttle was landing just outside their house. The sound of its engines filled the air. Mark looked out from his workshop confused. He had not ordered anything big. His wife Anna came to the window and asked what it was. The shuttle's door opened and a tall figure stepped out. She was not human. Her skin had a soft silver glow and her eyes shone like water under the moon. She wore a travel coat and held a glowing flower in her hands. She looked around as if she was seeing this world for the first time. Her name was Lyra. Lyra walked to the house with slow steps. She looked both nervous and excited. She had waited months for this day. She had left her home planet, Illyria, after receiving a marriage contract from a human named Mark. He was said to be kind, a man who lost his first wife and wanted to build a family again. Lyra had read his letters. They spoke of peace, simple life, and two small children who needed love. She stood in front of the door and pressed the bell. Inside, Anna opened the door with a smile that quickly turned to confusion. Anna was a young human woman with soft brown hair and a warm face. She looked at Lyra for a long second, unsure how to react. "Yes, can I help you?" Anna asked in a polite but unsure tone. Lyra bowed slightly, as her people did when greeting. "Good morning, I am Lyra from Illyria. I have come for Mark. I am his contracted bride." The words hit Anna like cold wind. Contracted bride. What do you mean? Before Lyra could answer, Mark came into the hall wiping his hands with a cloth. He froze when he saw Lyra. His face turned pale. He took a step back. "Lyra, what are you doing here? I canceled that contract months ago." Lyra looked down, confusion spreading across her face. "I never received a message. The match service told me to come. It said the human Mark was waiting." Anna looked at Mark. Her voice was calm but firm. "You want to explain this?" Mark sighed deeply. "Months ago, after the first talks, I changed my mind. I met you, Anna. I sent a message to the Galactic Match Bureau to cancel it. I thought they handled it." "Lyra, I am sorry you came all this way for nothing." Lyra's fingers tightened around the glowing flower. "So you're married already?" Mark nodded. "Yes, this is my wife Anna, and these are my children Tom and Mila." The two children had been hiding behind the corner watching quietly. Tom was 10, full of curiosity, while Mila was 7, shy and quiet. They stared at Lyra, amazed by her shining eyes and calm voice. Lyra forced a small smile. "Then there is no place for me here." She turned toward the shuttle, but her voice trembled. Traveling across galaxies was not easy. It took all her savings and a long journey through the cold dark between stars. She had imagined this day so many times. She never thought she would arrive to find someone else in her place. Mark ran a hand through his hair. "But you cannot just leave. The Bureau might not have another ship for weeks or months. It's not safe to stay alone out there. You can stay here until we figure this out." Anna looked at him in surprise. "Mark, are you sure about this? She came all this way because of a mistake," he said. "We cannot just send her back to sleep on the streets of the colony port." Lyra looked at them quietly. "I do not wish to be trouble, but I have nowhere else to go until the Bureau answers. If you allow me to stay, I will work or help." Anna hesitated. She felt sympathy but also worry. The situation was strange. Having another woman under the same roof, one who was supposed to marry her husband, sounded uncomfortable. But she saw Lyra's tired eyes and the sadness she tried to hide. Finally, Anna nodded slowly. "You can stay for now. We have a guest room." The children smiled. They were curious about her more than anyone. Mila stepped forward and touched Lyra's glowing flower. It shimmered gently, changing color to blue. Lyra smiled softly and said, "It likes gentle hearts." That night, Lyra sat quietly in the guest room. She placed her travel bag near the wall and opened a small device. It projected a tiny image of her home planet, blue forests, silver lakes, and tall crystal towers under two moons. Her heart ached, but she tried to stay calm. From the window, she could see Mark's family having dinner. The laughter of the children floated to her ears. She smiled sadly. She had come to start a new life, to find a family who needed her. But the universe had played a different trick. The next morning, Lyra woke early. She stepped outside to the small garden. She loved the smell of the air, different but fresh. She noticed the irrigation pipe was leaking. Without thinking, she took out a small device from her bag and repaired it in minutes. Mark, walking by, stopped and looked surprised. "You fixed that, it was giving me trouble for days," he said. Lyra smiled. "On my planet, we use energy threads for repairs. It is easy once you know the rhythm of the material." Mark laughed softly. "Well, you're already proving useful." From that day, Lyra helped in many small ways. She cooked simple meals using glowing herbs from her own rations. The children loved her food because it made their tongues tingle softly. She also repaired broken toys and built small glowing lights for their room. Anna watched all this quietly. She tried not to feel replaced, but she could not ignore how the children ran to Lyra for stories, and how even Mark enjoyed her company. Lyra never crossed any line. She always respected Anna and stayed polite. Still, her presence filled the house with strange warmth. In the evenings, Lyra told stories about Illyria. She spoke of oceans that sang in colors, trees that whispered in the wind, and creatures that could dream while awake. Mila listened with wide eyes, and Tom asked endless questions. Even Anna sometimes sat nearby, pretending to read while secretly listening. But deep inside, Lyra felt lost. Each night she sent a signal to the Galactic Bureau, hoping for a reply. None came. The long silence made her think that perhaps her people had forgotten her too. One afternoon, Lyra walked to the colony market with Anna and the children. Many humans stared at her, but not with anger, more with curiosity. Some had never seen an Illyrian before. Lyra handled it calmly, smiling at those who greeted her. She bought some local fruits and small tools for the children's learning kits. When they returned home, Mark was working on a broken drone. Lyra knelt beside him and offered help. Together, they fixed it in less than an hour. Mark was impressed. "You could get a job in the repair center. They would pay well." "I will think about it," Lyra said quietly. "For now, I just want to be useful while I wait." That night, when everyone slept, Lyra sat alone in the garden. The stars above Novara looked different from those of Illyria. She held the glowing flower in her hands. Its light had grown dim. She whispered softly, "I was supposed to be a bride, not a guest." She heard footsteps. It was Mila holding a blanket. "Lyra, why are you sad?" Lyra smiled gently. "I'm just missing my home little one." Mila sat beside her. "You can stay here. You do not have to go back. I like you." Lyra's heart softened. She placed her hand on the child's head. "You're very kind, Mila, thank you." From that moment, something began to change. The children started seeing Lyra not as a stranger, but as part of the family. Tom asked her to teach him how to build small machines. Mila followed her everywhere. Even Anna began to relax, noticing that Lyra's kindness came from honesty, not hidden purpose. As days passed, the strange start of their meeting began to fade into a quiet routine. The house became brighter. The laughter grew louder. Lyra smiled more often, though a small part of her heart still waited for a message from the Bureau. And somewhere far in the colony's communication network, a delayed signal was finally traveling through space in answer to her request for help. But before it reached Greenfield, something else was already happening. Lyra was no longer just a visitor. She was slowly becoming part of a story that would change all of their lives. Days turned into weeks, and Lyra became a familiar part of the household. The first days had been quiet and awkward, but slowly the walls began to fall. Mark left early every morning for his repair job at the colony maintenance yard, while Anna worked at the local school. The children spent most of their time with Lyra, who helped them with lessons and taught them small tricks from her own world. Every morning, Lyra woke before the suns rose. She would stand outside in the garden and greet the new light with a soft hum. It was an Illyrian morning song, one that helped focus the mind and bring calm energy. At first, the family found it strange, but later they found it peaceful. Tom said it made the whole house feel lighter. Lyra kept herself busy. She fixed the kitchen heater that used to make noise every hour. She organized the storage room and made a glowing light vine that wrapped around the children's windows. It gave the room a warm blue shine at night. Mila said it made her dreams happy. Anna tried to stay polite, but she often felt uneasy. Lyra was gentle and respectful, yet Anna could not help but wonder if her presence would slowly take away her place in the family. She would catch the children sitting close to Lyra, listening to her stories or laughing at her alien way of speaking. Lyra used simple human words, but sometimes she would say things backward, or use strange expressions that made the children giggle. One evening when Anna came home, she found Lyra cooking. The kitchen smelled sweet and sharp like citrus mixed with honey. The food shimmered with a faint glow. Anna watched from the doorway. "What are you making?" she asked. Lyra turned and smiled. "It is a dish from Illyria made from local fruits and spice threads. It gives energy and helps calm the mind. Would you like to try?" Anna hesitated but nodded. The taste was light and cool like mint, but also sweet. She smiled without thinking. "It's actually good. I am glad," Lyra said softly. "On my planet, we share this meal with guests to show peace." That small moment changed something. The two women began to talk more. Anna asked questions about Illyria and Lyra asked about Earth. They discovered that both loved reading stories and caring for plants. They were different, yet not as far apart as they once thought. Still, there were moments when Anna would look at Mark and wonder if he ever thought about how things could have been if the contract had gone through. Mark never gave a sign that he did. He treated Lyra kindly, but with distance. He respected her and thanked her for her help, but nothing more. Lyra respected that line completely. The children, however, showed no such distance. Tom followed Lyra around like a small shadow. He wanted to know how her small tools worked, how her glowing energy crystals were made, and why her eyes changed color when she felt strong emotion. She told him that Illyrian eyes reflected inner light, so when she was happy they turned blue, and when she was worried they turned gray. Mila loved to braid the fine silver strands of Lyra's hair and tell her about the small things that happened at school one afternoon. Mila came home crying because a group of children had made fun of her soft voice. Lyra took her hands gently and said, "On my world, children who speak softly are said to carry strong hearts. Words that are quiet can still reach far. You only need to believe that." Mila smiled again and hugged her. Anna saw this from the hallway and felt a strange mix of relief and guilt. Lyra had comforted her daughter in a way she herself could not find the right words for. As the colony days passed, the small town of Greenfield also began to notice Lyra. People saw her walking to the market with the children or visiting the repair yard to bring lunch to Mark. Some were surprised to see a human family living with an alien, but no one was unkind. Lyra's gentle nature and soft speech won hearts quickly. She helped an old farmer fix his water pump and gave light crystals to the school for the younger kids. Soon everyone knew her as the bright lady from Illyria, who smiled at everyone. One evening there was a community dinner near the town square. Anna and Mark took the children and Lyra went along. The tables were filled with food and laughter. People shared stories under hanging lights. A few children asked Lyra to tell them a story from her planet. She agreed and stood near the fountain, her silver hair shining in the soft night light. She spoke about a world where the sea sang and trees glowed when people were kind. Every person listening went silent for a moment, lost in her voice. Even Anna smiled and clapped with the others when she finished. Later that night, Anna walked beside Lyra as they headed home. "You really have a gift," she said softly. "The way you talk makes people feel calm." Lyra looked at the stars. "On Illyria, we are taught to speak with peace first. Words can heal or hurt. I choose to heal." The next morning, Mark received a message from the colony office. There had been a small problem in the mining ridge nearby. Some machines had stopped working and a few workers were trapped underground. The entire colony was preparing for emergency help. Mark quickly grabbed his repair kit and told Anna he had to go. Lyra watched silently as he rushed out the door. The children asked if everything would be fine. Anna tried to stay calm, but her hands shook slightly. Lyra placed her hand on her shoulder and said, "He will be fine. He knows what to do." Her touch was warm like soft sunlight, and it helped calm Anna's heart. While Mark was away, Lyra kept the children busy. She taught them how to make light drawings on the floor using dust crystals. The images floated for a moment before fading away. It made the children laugh and forget their worry. By evening, the colony sent a message saying the rescue work was still going on. Anna stood near the window watching the dark hills in the distance. Lyra came beside her quietly. "Would you like me to help? I can sense vibrations and energy patterns. It might help find them faster." Anna looked at her in surprise. "You can do that?" "Yes, Illyrians use natural resonance to find paths through dark places. It is not dangerous. But I will not go without your permission." Anna hesitated. She wanted to say no. She did not want Lyra to risk anything. But when she looked into Lyra's calm eyes, she felt trust. "Go, just come back safe." Lyra nodded and left with quiet speed. Her figure disappeared into the night. Anna stood at the door for a long time, listening to the soft hum of the shuttle engines as Lyra borrowed a local flyer from the colony guard. Hours passed before Anna heard the news. Lyra had joined the rescue team and used her glowing energy to light the dark tunnels. She found the trapped workers, including Mark. He had been pinned under fallen beams but still alive. The report said that without her guidance, they might not have made it out before the next collapse. When the rescue shuttle returned, the whole town was waiting. Mark stepped out covered in dust and dirt but smiling. Lyra came behind him looking tired but calm. The children ran to her first, hugging her legs. Mark thanked her again and again while the others clapped and cheered. Even the colony officer saluted her bravery. That night the family gathered together again. Mark had a small cut on his arm but nothing serious. The children would not stop talking about how Lyra had saved everyone. Anna brought warm food, and for the first time since Lyra's arrival, she hugged her fully and said, "Thank you for saving him." Lyra smiled and said softly, "We are one family now. We protect each other." It was a simple sentence, but it stayed in Anna's heart. From that day, she no longer saw Lyra as a stranger. She was not just a guest from another world. She was part of their lives in ways none of them had expected. The days that followed were filled with peace. The colony talked about Lyra's courage. Children at school started calling her the Star Lady. The Bureau had not yet answered her message, but she did not worry anymore. She had found a place where people cared for her without duty or contract. Yet far across space, the message she had sent to the Galactic Bureau was finally received by an officer who began to look into her case. The answer was being prepared. Lyra did not know it yet, but soon another challenge would arrive, one that would test what home and family truly meant to her. The colony of Greenfield was peaceful again after the mining rescue. Everyone spoke kindly of Lyra. People in the market smiled when they saw her. The mayor sent a letter of thanks for her bravery. Children waved at her when she walked to the school with Tom and Mila. Lyra felt happy in her heart. For the first time since she left Illyria, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Inside the home, things were warm and quiet. Anna and Mark had grown close again after the rescue. They laughed more and talked late into the night. Lyra noticed it and smiled softly. She wanted their family to be strong. She knew she was only a guest, but she felt like a part of their story. Every morning she helped Anna prepare breakfast. Then she walked with the children to school. Tom carried his science projects and Mila held Lyra's hand. The teachers liked Lyra too. She helped fix the broken light panels and shared simple lessons about Illyrian plants and stars. The students listened with shining eyes. In the evenings she worked on small inventions. Her table was filled with tools, wires, and glowing crystals. Tom loved helping her. Together they made a small floating globe that showed the map of Novara. Mila drew pictures of their family with crayons and gave one to Lyra. It showed Mark, Anna, Tom, Mila, and Lyra standing together under the suns. Lyra kept it beside her bed one day. While Lyra was working outside, she noticed something strange in the sky. A bright flash passed above the colony. It was quick but strong. She felt a pulse in her chest like a vibration from far away. Her Illyrian senses warned her that something was not right. She walked to Mark's workshop and told him, "I saw a signal in the sky," she said. It was not a star or a ship. It felt like a machine pulse. Mark frowned. Maybe another mining drone. They test them all the time. But later that evening, the colony alarm sounded. A red light flashed across the town. The speaker voice said there had been an accident at the northern ridge. Several mining drones had gone out of control again. They were cutting through the irrigation lines and might destroy the water system. Mark put on his repair uniform and grabbed his tools. "I have to go," he said. "The control center needs all the technicians." Anna held his arm. "Be careful. Last time it was dangerous." Lyra stepped forward. "I will come too. I can help." "I understand the energy waves of the drones." Mark nodded. "All right, but stay close to the rescue team. We do this together." They left quickly. The children stayed home with Anna. Mila stood at the window watching the distant hills glow red under the alarm lights. She whispered softly, "Please keep them safe." When Mark and Lyra reached the ridge, they saw smoke rising from broken tunnels. The air was filled with the sound of machines gone wild. Drones were slicing through the metal pipes and shooting sparks into the dry ground. Workers were shouting orders and trying to shut them down. Mark ran to the control panel, but the system was locked. "The signal is jammed," he said. We can't reach the main core. Lyra stepped forward. Her silver eyes glowed faintly. The jamming field is strong, but I can break through. My energy threads can connect to their network. She placed her hands on the panel. Thin lines of blue light spread from her fingers into the metal. The drones paused for a moment. Mark watched the readings change on the screen. "It's working," he said. "You're calming them down." But before they could finish, a strong tremor shook the ground. Part of the tunnel roof collapsed. Dust filled the air. Mark was thrown to the ground and one of the support beams fell across his leg. "Mark!" Lyra shouted, running to him. He tried to move, but the beam was too heavy. The other workers were trapped farther inside. Lyra looked around quickly. She gathered her strength and touched the beam. Her hands glowed brighter than before. The metal began to lift slowly as if pulled by invisible hands. "Go," she said. "Move now." Mark crawled out just as the beam cracked and fell again. They both ran outside, coughing from the dust. When they reached open air, Lyra collapsed to her knees, tired from the energy use. Mark helped her stand. "You saved me again," he said quietly. "I owe you my life." Lyra smiled weakly. "You would have done the same for me." Together they worked with the others to shut down the last of the drones. It took hours, but finally the lights stopped flashing and the air grew calm again. The colony cheered when they returned. The next morning, however, a small transport ship landed near the colony office. A man in a clean uniform stepped out. He was a Galactic Bureau officer. His name tag read, Officer Hale. He walked with purpose toward Mark's house where Lyra was helping the children with breakfast. "Good morning," he said politely. "I am here on official duty from the Galactic Bureau of Relations. I am looking for an Illyrian citizen named Lyra." Lyra stood up slowly. "That is me," she said. The officer took out a small device and checked his notes. "Your case was reviewed. The Bureau received confirmation that your original marriage contract with Citizen Mark was canceled before you left Illyria. Unfortunately, due to communication delay, the message reached you too late. We are very sorry for the confusion." Mark nodded. "We already know about that. It was a mistake. She has been staying with us until things could be fixed." The officer continued. "According to the law, Lyra's current stay is unauthorized. She must return to Illyria or apply for a new visa. Since there was no sponsor application filed, she is required to leave within 1 week." The room went silent. Mila looked at the officer with wide eyes. Tom frowned. Anna stood near the table with her hand still. Lyra spoke softly. "I understand. It is the rule. I will not break it." After the officer left, the children ran to her. "You can't go," Mila said, tears in her eyes. "You belong here." Lyra knelt and hugged her gently. "Little one, sometimes rules are stronger than wishes. I am grateful for your kindness." Mark tried to think of a way to help. "Maybe we can request a delay," he said. "You saved this colony twice. That must count for something," Anna agreed. "You deserve to stay, Lyra. Everyone here knows that." Lyra shook her head. "I do not want to cause trouble for your family. I already arrived here by mistake. Maybe the stars are telling me to return home." That evening, the town held a small gathering to thank Lyra for her help at the Ridge. The mayor gave her a Medal of Honor and said she would always be remembered as a friend of Greenfield. The people clapped and cheered, but there was sadness in their voices. No one wanted her to leave. After the event, Lyra walked alone near the river. The water reflected the twin suns as they began to set. She looked at her reflection and felt the soft wind brush against her hair. She thought about her homeworld, about the people she left behind, and about the strange family she found here. She heard footsteps behind her. It was Anna. She walked slowly and stood beside her. For a moment, they both stayed silent. "Do you really want to go?" Anna asked softly. Lyra looked at the water. "I do not want to, but I cannot stay without permission." "It would not be right." Anna turned to her. "You are part of us now. Tom and Mila see you as family. Even I feel that you belong here." Lyra smiled faintly. "You are kind, Anna. I will remember your words." The next few days passed quietly. Lyra helped around the house as always, but the laughter had grown softer. The children stopped smiling as much. Every night, Mila would come to her room and ask if the Bureau might change its mind. Lyra would stroke her hair and say, "Maybe the stars will listen." On the 6th day, a message arrived from Officer Hale. The Bureau transport ship would come the next morning to take Lyra back to the central station. She packed her small bag in silence. The glowing flower from Illyria still rested in a glass jar by her window. Its light had faded to a pale blue. That night she sat outside watching the stars. Mark came out and sat beside her. "You should know," he said. "The children are planning something. They won't tell me what, but I think they want to help you." Lyra smiled softly. "They have brave hearts, but I do not want them to be sad for me. They will grow strong and happy." Mark looked at her for a long time. "You changed this family, Lyra. You brought peace into our home." "Thank you for that," she looked at him. "You and Anna gave me shelter when I had nothing. I will carry that kindness forever." The next morning, the sound of engines filled the air again. The Bureau ship landed near the edge of the colony. People began to gather to say goodbye, but when Lyra stepped outside with her bag, she saw something unexpected. The children were standing in front of the ship holding a hand-painted sign that said, "Stay with us." Behind them stood the mayor, the workers, and half the town. Mark and Anna stood too. Everyone looked at the officer. Mark stepped forward and said, "She saved our lives in this colony. She deserves to stay. I will sign as her sponsor if that is what it takes." The officer hesitated. "This is highly irregular." The mayor spoke next. "The law allows exceptions for acts of service that benefit a human colony. I'm ready to approve local sponsorship." The crowd nodded. The officer finally sighed. "I will send the request to the Bureau for urgent review. Until the decision arrives, she may stay under temporary protection." The children cheered and ran to hug Lyra. She held them close with tears in her eyes. The glowing flower in her hand brightened again as if it shared her joy. The crowd began to celebrate, unaware that this moment would mark a new beginning for both humans and Illyrians on Novara. Lyra looked at the blue sky and whispered in her heart that maybe the stars had not made a mistake after all. Morning light touched the roofs of Greenfield Colony. Birds with silver wings moved across the pink sky. The air was peaceful, but inside Mark's house the mood was heavy. Everyone knew Lyra had to leave soon. The Galactic Bureau had sent the message the night before. They said she was not registered as a citizen and must return to her home planet within 3 days. Mark sat at the kitchen table, his hands around a cold cup of tea. Anna stood by the window looking outside where Lyra helped Mila with her garden patch. The small girl smiled as Lyra guided her hand to plant seeds correctly. Tom watched too, pretending to read his tablet, but his eyes never left the window. Mark finally spoke. "They said it is final. If she stays, it will be against the rules. They can fine us or even take her away by force." Anna turned toward him.
"Can't you appeal?"
"She saved lives. Everyone knows what she did during the mining accident." Mark nodded. "I tried. They said her contract doesn't give her rights here. They see her as an unauthorized visitor." Anna's voice softened. "She came here because of an old promise, and now she has nowhere to go." Tom closed his tablet and said quietly, "She has us." Both parents looked at him. His small face was serious. "She belongs here," he said again. Outside, Lyra smiled at Mila. Her pale silver skin glowed softly in the sunlight. Mila laughed and clapped her hands. The plants around them shimmered faintly. Lyra's people could share energy with living things, helping them grow faster. Within minutes, small green shoots broke through the soil. Mila gasped and hugged Lyra's arm. Anna watched that moment and felt her chest tighten. She had tried to stay calm, but the truth was clear. Lyra had become part of their family. That night, they all had dinner together. It was quiet. The sound of plates and spoons was the only thing filling the room. Lyra smiled politely, but her eyes looked distant. Finally, she spoke. "I will leave tomorrow morning. I do not want trouble for you. The Bureau man said they will send a ship in 2 days. I can go meet it in the city." Tom dropped his fork. "No," he said loudly. "You can't go. We need you." Mila's eyes filled with tears. "Please don't go," she whispered. Lyra reached out and touched their hands gently. "You have a mother and father who love you. I was only a guest here." Anna felt the children's pain. She tried to speak, but her throat felt tight. Mark looked at Lyra, then at the children. He wanted to say she could stay, but the rules tied his tongue. When night came, Lyra stood by the window of her room watching the stars. She thought about her long journey, her home, and how strange fate had been. She had come here hoping for a new life and found love in the hearts of 2 small humans. She smiled sadly and packed her few belongings. But in the next room, Tom and Mila were whispering. Tom said, "We can't let her go. We have to do something." Mila nodded. "What if we ask the town? Everyone likes her now. She helped the miners. Maybe they can stop the Bureau. The next morning before sunrise, Lyra opened the door to leave quietly. She wanted to say goodbye without waking anyone, but when she stepped outside, she saw two small shapes sitting on the porch. Tom and Mila. They both had backpacks and serious faces. Lyra gasped softly. "Why are you awake?" Tom stood up. "We are coming with you. If they make you go, we go too." Lyra knelt beside them. "You cannot. Your family needs you." Mila shook her head, tears running down her cheeks. "You are family too." Before Lyra could answer, Anna appeared behind her, wrapped in a shawl. "They woke me up," she said softly. Her voice trembled. "They told me everything." Lyra lowered her eyes. "I did not want to cause trouble." Anna shook her head. "You didn't. You healed this home." "When you came, I was afraid. I thought you would take my place, but I see now you've filled an empty space we didn't even know was there." The door opened again, and Mark came out, looking tired but firm. "We're not letting you leave alone," he said. "We're going to the town office together." The whole family got into the old hover truck and drove toward the colony center. The sun was rising over the fields, painting the sky gold. When they arrived, the town square was already busy. People were talking about Lyra's case. The news had spread. When they stepped out, someone shouted, "That's her, the alien who saved the miners." The crowd turned toward them. Some clapped. Some waved. The children ran to their friends and told them why they were there. Within minutes, half the town stood outside the Bureau's small office. The officer, a man in a silver uniform, came out looking nervous. "What is this about?" he asked. Mark stepped forward. "We're asking you to reconsider. Lyra has done more for this colony than many registered citizens. She saved lives. She taught our children. She brought peace." The officer frowned. "Rules are rules. Without authorization from the central system, she cannot stay." Then Tom shouted, "She's our family." The crowd murmured in agreement. A miner stepped forward. "If she goes, I'll lose the one who saved my crew." Another woman said, "She helped me fix my generator when no one else could." Voices rose together. People began chanting, "Let her stay." The officer hesitated. He had not expected this. He called his communicator and spoke to someone quickly. Then he turned back. "There might be a way," he said. "There's a new cooperation act between humans and other species. If the local council signs it, she can become a resident under special conditions." Anna's eyes brightened. "We'll sign whatever it takes." The officer looked surprised. "It must be the colony's decision, not just one family." That was when the mayor of Greenfield stepped out of the crowd. She was an older woman named Mara. "Then I will sign it," she said. "Lyra has proven her worth." "Our colony stands with her," the crowd cheered. The officer nodded slowly and began the registration. It took hours of forms and codes, but by the end of the day, Lyra was holding an official card that read, "Resident of Greenfield Colony, special citizenship granted." Tom and Mila jumped with joy. Anna hugged Lyra tightly, and Mark shook her hand with a smile. That night, the town held a small celebration. Lanterns floated in the air. Music played softly and laughter filled the streets. Lyra sat near the fire with the children beside her. She looked around and felt a warmth she had never known. Anna came to her side. "You are not a guest anymore," she said gently. "You are family," Lyra smiled. "Thank you. I never thought I would find home in the stars, but I did." Mila leaned against her shoulder. "You can teach me to make the glowing flowers again tomorrow." Lyra nodded. "Of course. And this time we will plant them for everyone in town." Mark raised his cup and said, "To Lyra, the light of Greenfield." The crowd cheered again. As night settled over the colony, Lyra looked up at the sky. The stars shimmered above her, endless and silent. Somewhere far away, her own world waited, but she no longer felt the pull of loneliness. Here she had found something stronger than any promise or contract. She had found a family that chose her not because of an agreement, but because of love. And in that small colony under the stars, Lyra's story became a lesson for everyone. Sometimes family is not made by blood or law. It is made by hearts that open to those who need a place to belong. Lyra smiled, feeling the children's hands holding hers. She whispered softly, "Home is here." The wind carried her words through the glowing fields where the new plants she and Mila had grown began to bloom, shining softly like stars on the ground. The morning sun rose softly over Greenfield Colony. The air was crisp and filled with the faint scent of flowers and fresh soil. Lyra stood on the porch of Mark's house holding a small watering can. She smiled as she watched the glowing flower beds shimmer in the sunlight. The children were already outside, laughing and running between the patches of lighted plants. Tom had made a tiny floating globe of Novara that hovered above the garden. Mila was carefully placing petals on the glowing flowers while Lyra guided her hand. Mark stepped out of the house holding a mug of warm tea. Anna followed, carrying a basket of freshly baked bread. Everyone paused for a moment, looking at the bright and peaceful morning. The world felt quiet yet full of energy. Lyra felt a warmth in her chest she had never experienced before. This was not Illyria. It was a different world, yet it felt like home. "Good morning," Mark said, smiling. "Looks like the garden is thriving." Lyra nodded. "The plants respond to care and energy. They are happy because the children are happy." Mila giggled. "It is true. The flowers shine more when you smile at them." Tom pointed at Lyra's glowing flower that still rested in a small jar by the porch railing. "And that flower is glowing bright again, just like you." Lyra laughed softly. "It remembers me. It likes being here too." Breakfast was cheerful and filled with laughter. Everyone shared plans for the day. Mark would go to the repair yard for some minor work. Anna would check the school schedule. And the children wanted to spend time learning Illyrian techniques from Lyra. She had promised them she would teach them about energy threads, floating lights, and the stories of her homeworld. After breakfast, Lyra guided Tom and Mila to a small workshop in the backyard. The walls were lined with Illyrian tools and softly glowing crystals. Tom's eyes widened as Lyra showed him how to use a small crystal to power a floating board. Mila held Lyra's hand, listening carefully as Lyra explained how energy flows through materials and life forms. "This is amazing," Tom said, touching the floating board lightly. "It feels like magic, but it makes sense when you explain it." Lyra smiled at him. "It is not magic. Everything follows a pattern. The same patterns exist in your plants, your sky, even your hearts. Once you understand the rhythm, you can do almost anything." Mila asked, "Can we make the flowers float too?" Lyra laughed. "Not today. They like being in the soil. But tomorrow we will make lights that float above the garden." The day went quickly. Lyra showed the children how to build small machines that glowed with energy threads. They learned to work carefully, helping one another. Even Anna joined them, laughing as she tried to lift a small floating cube. She stumbled slightly and Lyra gently steadied her hand. "You are patient," Anna said, smiling. "I thought I would be clumsy, but you make it easy." "It is the same as teaching children," Lyra replied. "Patience brings understanding." Mark returned home just before sunset. He paused at the doorway, watching the family together. Lyra guided Mila's hands as the child placed small glowing petals around the floating globe. Tom demonstrated a mini crane powered by energy threads. Anna adjusted some of the glowing vines. The scene was warm, peaceful, and full of light. Mark walked into the workshop and said, "I do not know how you did this, Lyra, but the children are happier than I have ever seen them." Lyra glanced at him. "It is not only me. They are ready to learn and explore. I only show the path." Mark nodded, feeling grateful. "You have changed this home. You brought something we did not know we needed." As night fell, the family gathered outside. The stars above Novara shone bright, reflected by the glowing garden below. Lyra placed her hands over the soil, sending a gentle energy through the plants. The light grew brighter, dancing like tiny stars on the ground. Mila leaned against Lyra's side. "It is so beautiful. It is like our own little sky," Tom added. "It feels like we are part of something bigger than us." Lyra smiled softly. "We are all part of something bigger. Life connects across worlds if you let it." Anna placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "I know you are not leaving anymore, right?" Lyra looked up at her. "I am staying. I belong here now. My home is not only Illyria. It is wherever hearts are open." Mark joined them. "Then we are glad to have you with us. Not because of a contract or obligation, but because you are family." The children cheered and laughter filled the night. Lyra's flower in the jar glowed stronger than ever, reflecting the warmth of the moment. The garden lights twinkled like stars, and for the first time, Lyra felt completely at peace. The next morning, news arrived from the Galactic Bureau. The special residency status for Lyra had been approved. She would remain in Greenfield Colony without any legal issues. Officer Hale had visited again to confirm, and the town celebrated quietly. Lyra did not need to worry about leaving. She could finally focus on living her life with the family she had chosen. Days turned into weeks, and Lyra settled fully into the rhythm of the colony. She continued teaching the children, helping neighbors, and assisting Mark with small repairs around the house. The glowing plants flourished under her care, attracting visitors from other parts of the colony. People began asking for her advice, and she guided them with the same calm patience she showed the children. The family often spent evenings together, sharing stories under the soft light of the twin moons. Lyra told tales of Illyria, the singing seas, the crystal forests, and the peaceful cities. The children asked endless questions, their eyes wide with wonder. Anna and Mark listened, smiling as the family grew closer. One evening, Lyra sat with Tom and Mila beside the glowing globe she had made for them. "Do you know why I stayed here?" she asked gently. Mila shook her head. "Because we wanted you?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, partly, but also because I found a family that cares not for promises or contracts, but for love. That is stronger than any law or rule. That is why I am here." Tom hugged her. "We love you too. You are our star mother." Lyra's eyes glowed faintly. "And you are my little stars. Together we shine brighter than any sky." Time passed. Seasons changed on Novara, but the light of their home never dimmed. The glowing garden grew larger, filled with new plants, and the children learned more about the universe from Lyra's stories and lessons. The townspeople often visited to see the flowers, hear Lyra's tales, or ask for help. Lyra became a bridge between humans and Illyrians, showing kindness, patience, and courage. One day, the family sat together watching a meteor shower. The streaks of light across the sky mirrored the glowing plants below. Lyra held Mila's hand, Tom rested his head on her shoulder, and Anna leaned beside her. Mark put an arm around them all. "This is perfect," Anna whispered. "Yes," Lyra agreed. "Home is not a place. Home is love. It is where hearts are open." The children laughed, running through the glowing garden as meteors traced the night sky. The house was filled with warmth, light, and peace. Lyra watched them, her silver eyes reflecting the stars above and the light below. She realized she had found her purpose, not in contracts or promises, but in being part of a family that had chosen her freely. From that day forward, Lyra, Mark, Anna, Tom, and Mila lived in harmony. The colony of Greenfield remembered the story of the alien who came for one man, but stayed for everyone. Lyra became a symbol of hope, courage, and unity. She taught the people that love could cross worlds, and that families are built not only by blood or law, but by hearts willing to open. The glowing garden remained a place of learning and laughter. Illyrian energy mixed with human curiosity, creating something beautiful and new. Lyra often looked at the night sky and thought of her distant home, but she never felt lonely again. She had found a family that needed her, and she had chosen to stay with them. As the twin moons of Novara rose high, casting a silver light over the colony, Lyra whispered softly, "Home is here. My heart has found its place." The children ran to her. The parents smiled, and the stars above reflected the light of a family that had grown stronger together. Lyra's journey across the galaxies had led her not to a contract, but to love, belonging, and a new life full of hope. And in Greenfield Colony, under the glow of flowers and stars, they lived happily, learning, growing, and shining together forever.